Thanks everybody for joining. I'm Carrie at Icon Systems, and I'm here with Jay from Bill. We're going to talk about the new integration that Icon has with Bill and how to use it. So first couple things that I wanted to mention, everybody is on mute, and we are recording this webinar. If you have any questions, there is a questions box or there's a chat box. You can go ahead and throw your questions in, and Jay and I will try our best to uh, address those at the end of the webinar, or maybe some of those questions get answered throughout the webinar. We're going to start with Icon. So that's what I have up on my screen. You should all be pretty familiar with what the IconCMO looks like. And then when you are wanting to get started with Bill in Icon, the integration, you're going to go under the Tools and Services menu item over here on the far left. At the very bottom of that Tools and Services, we've got the Partners and Integrations screen. And you can see Bill is right up here toward the top with their orange logo. And if you go to the Setup and Information section here, you can see here's where you can put in the username and password information for Bill, and then you can save that. When you save it, it does pop it up and ask which organization, or it'll choose the organization. If you are also in the system under the enter transaction screen, for example, there is a button up here that also would take you to Bill's website. So you can kind of get punch in some information and get a demo to kind of learn what it's all about. Once you actually integrate your system, this button does change and it actually becomes a function within Icon that's going to help you with that integration in Bill. So you'll be able to tell if you're integrated already by that button up here at the top. Okay, I am going to see if I can get us logged in here. I didn't want to punch it in right away because I wanted you to be able to see what that button looks like. So give me just a moment. Okay, so there's that screen where it would pop up and say, no organizations are found because I didn't have an organization set up, or my username and password are incorrect. So if you happen to see that, either retry your username and password. It should be the same information that you're logging into Bill with. I'm going
And
to.
Carrie, we now are displaying that organization ID, which we weren't 2 weeks ago. So
Correct.
we will, when I show the bill, we'll show where you can go and get that organization ID.
Perfect. And I am actually going to, I think I realized that I am logging in on the wrong server. I'm so sorry, that's my bad. I'm gonna log in here real quick with the right server so that we can link to that bill.com test account that we have here. Yeah, there we go. Let me drag this one over. So sorry about that. Okay, there's the one that I've got it already connected. So I've got my information in there. So now when I go into use bill, I'm going to go under like my banking and enter transactions screen. And I'm actually going to see some things here now that I wouldn't have seen before. So let's zoom in real quick. So again, that button has changed to say bill activity. We'll come back to what that's really for. And then also there's a column here that says bill pay, and it shows, so I've got all my different bank accounts set up here. Come on, scroll. There we go. I've got all my different bank accounts set up here, and they will each say whether they are linked or not linked. I've already started working in this account, so I've already done some of the linking. What you're going to see is that you have links to be able to link accounts to bill. In order to be, and there will be a place to link vendors as well. In order to be able to link your bank accounts and vendors, you've already got to be able to have some stuff set up in bill. So before I kind of continue on with how the rest of utilizing Bill within Icon works, I'm actually going to pass the presenting abilities over to Jay, and I'm going to let him talk a little bit about um, Bill and what to do on that end, and then we'll come back in and kind of show you how the integration comes together in Icon once you've got the two pieces set up.
Perfect. Perfect. Great. Yeah. All right. There we go. Let me share my screen. Okay. Carrie, do you see that?
I sure do.
Perfect. Yeah, team, my name is Jay Harden. I'm a solution consultant here with Bill.com. I still call it Bill.com, so I think it'll be difficult for me to just call us Bill. But we're excited about the integration that Icon's built. What we'll kind of talk about is once you sign up for Bill, maybe you're already a current customer, maybe being able to pay vendors out of Icon is something that you want to be able to do. You know, we really focus on ACH payments. We can deliver checks as well. So if that's something you want to do from within Icon, with this integration with Bill, it gives you that ability to do so. Signing up for Bill.com is really easy. You go in, we're going to ask some questions, and we're a web-based solution. So once you're in Bill, this is that initial kind of overview that you'll see when you sign up for the ability to pay bills with us. You know, first and foremost, I think we want to discuss the types of users you have in Bill.com. That initial user that signs up will obviously be an admin. Under our settings page here, you can add additional users. You can create custom roles, things like that. And we'll provide documentation on how to do all of that. When you need to add a new user, we're going to ask first name, last name, and email. And then out of the box, we have 6 default roles: administrator, accountant, payers, approvers, and clerks. So if you just have one user in Bill, that's typically going to be your administrator. Maybe you want to create a user that just can pay. You can assign them the payer role if you'd like. You can also create custom roles, which I think is a little bit outside of the scope for today, but we could describe that. You could create custom roles in Bill.com, but it's really easy to add that user. Once you add that user, Bill.com is going to send an email to that user requesting them to sign up and enter a password. At the same time, we're going to ask them for multi-factor, which is your cell phone, right, where you can get text messages. Because we're moving money, right, we want to always have multi-factor when you're logging into Bill. And so the user will get prompted for that when they get requested to be a Bill.com user. And there's something that's really important with our kind of segregation of duties when you're setting up Bill.com. Because once you have a user and you have access maybe to pay bills, which you'll see here, you also, in addition to that, need bank authorization access and Bill. Remember, we're moving money, so this is pretty sensitive. And I'm going to talk through how to do both of those things, right? So once we create our user, we have the role within that user, we can move on to adding a bank account within Bill.com, okay? And you can have as many bank accounts as you like. This is the bank account that's going to help fund those payments, all right? And you can set up, essentially connect a bank account to Bill.com with virtually any bank account in the United States, any US-based bank account. You can connect bank accounts in 2 distinctive ways. One is with an integration that you all probably are familiar with. We do use Plaid. Plaid is a software technology that connects bank accounts to other softwares. And this is really easy. You go in, you'll enter your phone number, and then you can select your, excuse me, let me go through here and get my code. Forgot we introduced the Plaid MFA as well.
And if any of our users are already using our bank import function, Plaid is who we use for that as well. So this screen is very similar to what you're doing for the bank import.
Perfect. And you'll see some of these, some of the bigger banks. You can also search for your institution. What's great about this too is maybe your institution is not on Plaid, or maybe you don't want to use Plaid. You also can just add your bank account manually. Okay, so you can go in and add your bank information details. We will send kind of the old school micro deposits where it'll be, I think it's actually just one deposit, maybe it's 37 cents. You verify that deposit, and then now that bank account's connected. Okay, and so what that means is whoever that user that connected the bank account is a authorized user. Okay, if you want to add other users as an authorized user to that bank account, you can do so within Bill. Okay, so I just hit add and you'll add another user. Why this is important, okay, why we have two layers is you might have a user in Bill.com, maybe they're an IT person and they're in charge of onboarding employees to all of your software at your organization. And you want them to have admin access in Bill.com so that they can do that. They can onboard other users. But maybe that person shouldn't have access to move money, right? This is we give you that ability. So you can be a super user. You can be an admin in Bill.com, but not have access to move money out of that bank account, but not have access to make payments out of that bank account, right? So that's why there's two layers of security. So if you want to make sure that you're paying bills out of Icon, you want to be able to add the user. Whatever user you provide them needs to have bank authorization access to be able to fund payments from that bank account. So hopefully this was a good idea or a good way to talk about adding bank accounts in Bill.com. Now, also other places that you could do, you also have the ability to add vendors in Bill.com, okay? And at any time, you know, I know within Icon, they've created this great integration where vendors are passing back and forth. It's very easy to add vendors in Bill.com. You have the ability to go in. You could do it on the fly if you're actually processing bills with us. You can also add the vendor here. When you add that vendor, you'll ask for some of their address. I'm going to go to one that's already created, sorry. And there's some other things that you can do when you're adding that vendor. One is we can help with W-9 collection if you want us to. Now, again, you might already be doing this in other places, but within Bill, you can add W-9s and you can request W-9s through the system so we can help collect it. You can also enter their vendor bank information. We'll tell you if they're already on our ACH network, think like Venmo or Zelle, but more business to business. But if that vendor has provided you their bank information, you can add that bank information here. And once you add it, we will display the routing number and the last 4 digits. But you can always add a vendor's bank information so that we can pay them via direct deposit through Bill.com. Once you create this vendor in Bill.com, Icons has the ability for you to bring that down to sync that information back and forth. So you also have the ability to add that vendor in Bill. When you make payments, if it's within our user interface or within Icon, you'll always be able to see that payment out information here, and you can get details of the in-flight status. I know also part of that integration within Icon is pulling data back in, so you really can stay in one platform. You can be in Icon while at the same time taking advantage of Bill.com's really robust ability to pay vendors via ACH or pay vendors via check. Carrie, anything else you want me to highlight here, or is this a good segue to pass it back to you?
I think that's pretty good. Do you have per authorization? Trying to think of how to word it, like something where you can set it up so that prior to you actually sending something out, somebody has to authorize that. Do you have that
Sure,
capability?
absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, we have the ability to do bill approvals in Bill.com or payment approvals. Since we're focusing on payment approvals, I'll focus there. Now, payment approvals are something that you do need to reach out to us to turn on. It's sort of in our beta version, but if you just ask support to turn it on, they'll turn it on for you. And payment approvals are pretty neat because what this does is this allows you to be the final releaser of funds before that money is released. So let's say I go into Icon and I enter a payment from my bank account for $500. If you have payment approvals turned on, that will queue up a payment approval to happen in Bill.com. And these payment approvals can be based these payment approvals can be based on the funding account, the bank account that we've talked about. And then you can turn on the approvals based on amount. So you have the ability to say, okay, anything over a penny, I want to have these individual users give the thumbs up on it, right? So Jake and Tanner both have to approve any payments that go out. So maybe in Icon, I have an individual that's queuing up payments. And then when those payments are queued up and passed back over to Bill.com requires payment approval on them. My email will be on here. If you're a Bill.com account and don't see payment approvals, just please email me or contact support. They'll turn it on. And they can help with you to get them turned on. And what this looks like is now those users will be notified, and you'll notice I need to approve 17 payments in my Bill.com environment, right? Well, this is sort of like that old school check packets, right? Where maybe you had dual check signers. And so what you would do is you would go and print off all your checks, put them on the president's, the controller's, whatever's desk, whoever the signer is, and they have the check on top and all those bills underneath. Well, in Bill.com, you can sort of do that here. So you're saying, okay, here's a check that's going to go out to Winterfeld Consulting for $7,000. This was queued up May 10th, 2023, so 2 years ago. It hasn't been released because we haven't approved. Now, this is just an option. You don't have to turn this on. In addition to this, if you're creating the bills in Bill.com, you also have the ability to create bill approval policies. But that's at the individual bill invoice. That's at the individual AP invoice level, not at the payment level, right? Because they are different, right? A payment can pay multiple AP bills. And so we have approvals for both, really. You could turn on bill approvals, you could turn on payment approvals if you want to as well. Something else I wanted to mention so that you can see it is if you're in Bill.com and you go to settings and you go to sync and integrations, there is a managed developer key right here that allows you to see your org ID. Now, Icon has their own development key, but you have the ability to generate one as well. So you might not need to generate a developer key for them, but you will want to share this organization. Now, they also could do a lookup with the user that you provide. So this might not be needed. I just wanted to show you all as you all are going into, if you're wondering where can you get that organization ID, it's under settings, sync, and integrations.
Perfect. Yeah, that approval process I think is important for some of our users. So I'm really glad that you were able to show them that piece of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's one of those things that if you go to approvals and you don't see payment approvals, please just reach out to support. I think in a few months, we're going to give it automatically to everybody, but it's just a quick we could turn it on for you if we need to.
Perfect. All right, so we're going to come back into Icon, and I'm going to show you now that you kind of have an idea of what Bill can do and how it's used for those payments. Yeah, there we go. You can see my screen, right? Okay, it was just a little slow. Perfect. Okay, so then back in IconCMO. So you have either your banking tab, which is what we're under right now. This is also available, the bill piece in the AP module. So I'll show you both. But so if I was going to go to write a check, and I'm specifically going to pick an account that is not yet linked with Bill. So I've got this one right here. I know it's not. So when I go called bank account X. When I go to write a check from them, if I decide that I wanted to be able to send this out to bill.com, see, I still call it bill.com too, Jay. So if I click on the link here, there's a little link. It's going to open up, and the only bank that I have set up in Bill is this First Platypus Bank. So if I was going to connect that, I will just go ahead and click it, and just like that, it's linked. So now it's going to send that payment out to Bill to pay from this First Platypus Bank. Now, if I was going to look for a vendor, I'll go ahead and pick this benefits company. Again, this one is not yet linked. So you've got this set up in Icon already. If I click this link icon, take just a second, it pulls up this list from Bill. So you can see there's all kinds of different vendors in here. So if there's one that it should be, and I'm sure there's not one just called benefits company, but let's pretend that this Alarm Co. I don't know, that one says pending, maybe not that one. Let's go to this Atom. I'm going to click that, and then it links those two together. So I'm connected there. So this goes with one of the questions that we got in the chat box about importing vendor information from Icon out to Bill. If it's a brand new vendor that it doesn't exist in Bill, you can actually input it here and then connect it. It gives you the ability. So let's pick a different one here. So I'm going to pick the florist, and I'm going to link it again. And when it comes back up, I don't see the vendor. It's not listed. It doesn't exist. There is a button down here that says add vendor to bill. So I can click that button, and then it's going to pop up and ask me some information. So name, zip code, and now I'm going to search, and this is searching through Bill's records. Is that correct, Jay?
Yeah, so it looks like we have a network. We have a vendor network that
There you
that
go.
you can search through. So any vendors that are on the network will populate here.
Right. And so again, something
Yeah,
just
they've got
called
to be on
florist,
the
it
network.
doesn't exist. So there is an add new vendor button down here at the bottom. So I can go ahead and put in this information, and then there's payment information and things like that. So yeah, you don't even have to go out to bill necessarily to put those vendors in. You can kind of do it through this vendor network
Yeah,
option.
and let me describe that vendor network. So when you can invite a vendor to join the network, which there's a button there on the bottom right-hand corner. And when we invite a vendor to join the network, it's completely free for that vendor to join Bill.com. Now, they might not do it, right? They might not want to, but it's free for them, and it's a free way for them to get paid. Unlike other solutions, they might make the vendor pay to join their network. That's not how we do it. So it's completely free for them to join, and then it allows their clients to pay them via ACH through the Bill.com network. So if they're not on the network, you can add it. We see typically about 30% of all vendors will be on the network, right? So when you're working with a new vendor, there's a 3 out of 10 chance that they'll already be there, so you'll already be able to connect with them.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to go back to the benefits company who had already linked. You're going to go ahead and input that information. So we'll go ahead and just put in $100, call it
Mhm.
good. And then down in the bottom right-hand corner, so the button says post and print because that's probably what was there from previously before I was set up. But there's this little white triangle to the right of it. When I click on that white triangle, I actually get new options. Post and print is grayed out because that's the one currently selected. I've got post check, which as you know, it's just going to post it to my accounting. I'm not going to have the ability to print it. And then we have the post to bill button. So if I go ahead and click that, then I can post that. It sends that transaction out to bill for approval, processing, etc. You get this screen that pops up, asks you to kind of verify that everything is correct before you physically hit submit. And then and the nice thing too I liked, or I thought was kind of neat, is that it shows me what the payment type is that's going out to those vendors, because some of them have bank information set up, Jay, and then some of them don't, so you're just doing a check instead of an e-payment.
Yeah,
Is
so
that
and this
correct?
is a
Great.
this is a
Thank you.
great point. We default back to check. Like check is that last ditch effort, right? If we can't, and look, that's fine. If we can't pay them via ACH, um, we we will send them a check. Our checks are 3 to 5 business days. We do it at scale. We really deliver them pretty quickly. If those checks don't get cashed in 90 days, that money goes back into your bank account and we'll notify you. ACH is obviously we want to get to, but there's just times where a vendor can't accept ACH, and so you do have to send them a check. So if we can't either connect with them on the network, or if we don't have their vendor bank information, we'll send them a check. Absolutely.
And so I'm just going to go ahead and click submit payment on that. You can see we've got submitting to bill. Here's that
And there's your MFA, and that's your
MFA,
MFA. Yeah.
which, you know
Absolutely.
what? I didn't bring my phone to the meeting. So let's see. Oh, my watch has it. I'll punch it in here. Smartwatches.
There you go.
There we
That's
go.
kind of
All
neat.
right. Confirmed, says payment sent successfully. Awesome. So that transaction's done. I've got that in my history here. You can see I've got the check marks instead of the links next to both the vendor and the bank account showing that those were linked. Now that button up here, the bill activity button, when I click on this, this actually shows me all of my like check transactions and the ones that were already posted or sent to bill. So I've got the check mark for that transaction I just sent out, this $100 one. I do have other transactions that I've got in here from other things I've done, and they are not sent to bill. But if I wanted to send them out to bill, they were something that was pre-entered, and now I'm going to send them, I can do that here as well. As long as everything's linked, and we'll get that information here that pops up. Yeah, as I say, I think everything was linked there. And then I could go ahead and submit that again. And then like we said in this column here, over here where it says bill pay, so I could just link my bank accounts right here. I don't have to go into the check to link them, so I can do it right from the screen with the bank information. Same thing with if we go out into that AP section, if we go to our enter and pay invoices screen, which if any of you who don't use AP haven't seen this screen before, this is your entire list of all of your vendors. So you can always come in and add and edit a vendor. And you can see again with my list of vendors, I've got the ability to link them directly here from this screen. I don't have to go into writing a check or creating an invoice or anything like that to link the vendor. And then when I'm going to, and you can see I've got that bill activity button up here also on the AP screen. When I go in to post my payments in AP, again, you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, we've got that post to bill option. I've got the check mark up here indicating, or the link icon indicating whether or not my bank account is linked or not linked in bill. So you're really just looking for the check mark or the link icon. And then down in the bottom right, you've got that post to bill function again. So pretty easy. We did include the handout or the user guide in the handouts of the webinar, and I can send those out again when I'm sending out the video, the recording for everyone who's registered. If you are ever looking for the user guide, we have the help button, the question mark down in the bottom left-hand corner that brings you out to our user guides. And you can see we've got, and we even labeled it bill.com CJ, old habits die hard. So we've got the bill integration guide right here as well that you can always pull up. And these are always updated. So you can print them, but if you're ever wondering if you have the most up-to-date version of them, when you open them, it does tell you on that very second page, I was going to say first, second page, when it was last updated. So you'll have that information there. Was there anything on our side, Jay, that I didn't mention that you thought would be important?
No, this looks so good. This looks so great, and you all have done such a good job with our integrations here. We really want to support your clients, and if they're hitting any roadblocks, again, that's where I'll be a resource to help. But I think we covered what we kind of wanted to cover, definitely.
Okay, cool. And then we've got some questions in the chat box that I would
Sure.
like to address. So if anybody else had any questions of any kind, whether it's for me, whether it's for Jay, please throw them in the chat box because we are more than happy to um, answer them, address them, show you right here on the screen how to uh, use that functionality that you're questioning. Or if you wanted to see something else again that we went over and you want to look at it again, throw it in the chat box. We're happy to do that for you. So the first question was about the vendor information being imported. We already went
Right.
over that. Um, the next one asks, can the approvals for each be for each transaction in Icon. And I believe
Mm,
that you kind of mentioned that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, but I believe whenever we send these transactions, whenever we say submit, it goes
mm,
into that queue that you showed where you
mhm,
had that 2023 transaction still out there and a couple others.
mhm.
So it's listed as separate transactions
Yeah,
that need separate approvals, correct?
correct. It's all based on the payment, right? It's all based on the payment. So let's say you have a vendor that you have a common vendor with that you get like 10 bills a week from, but you only want to send them one check or one ACH, right? But maybe you have 30 bills and they're 20 different vendors, right? So you'll have 20 payments. You'll have a payment per vendor typically. The payment approval, depending on that threshold that you turn on, the payment approval will be based on each individual payment. Now, if you put your payment approvals at $100, well, then we're only going to have the payments that are over $100 need approval. So what that means is for everything under $100, that's going to go ahead and go out, right? We're going to go ahead and submit that. That's going to be released on that process date. Anything over $100, we will hold it up until someone approves it. So I always say if you turn on payment approvals inside of Bill.com, it's a great way to verify things and we want all that, but beware because you got to be on top of it, right? Because when you're submitting those payments in Icon and um, you're doing that like closer to the due date. So when you submit that payment, if you wait maybe 2, 3, 5 days to release those funds, well, Bill.com still needs a day to get the, a day to get the ACH, 1 to 2 days to get the ACH, or 3 to 5 days to get the check. So if you do implement payment approvals, just be sure that you're on it, right? That whoever is the approval knows it because you're doing it at the end of the workflow because it's the payment. It's not when you've received the bill. But yes, it's per individual payment based on those thresholds that you put in. Good question.
Jay, I have a question that I actually thought of while you were talking about that. When they have these approvals, do they get notifications? Like, do you have
Yeah,
notifications that get
absolutely.
sent
They'll
out?
get an email. Yeah. Our
Perfect.
payment approvals aren't in our mobile app yet. We're working to do that soon as well, but they will get an email saying they have payments that they need to approve.
So even better yet, they have a mobile app. All right.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. And if that didn't answer the question that you asked about the approvals, let me know and we can readdress it. Let's see, the next one says, when you initially integrate, doesn't all the vendor information go into bill.com automatically? Can you enter bill and pay out of bill and then just sync into Icon rather than enter into Icon and send to bill? So the way the integration is set up is you're doing the accounting work and everything in Icon, and then you're sending it out to bill for like the payment processing and or approval function of it. And as far as when you initially integrate, does the information all go out to Bill? It kind of does as you are. I mean, you have to go in and set up your bank account. Jay showed you that a little bit, but with the vendors and everything, you're kind of doing that as you go. You pick the vendor and then you're linking it or integrating it with Bill if it's already in their network, or you're adding them to the network. So you can do it as you go. It doesn't have to be you have to have them all set up immediately before even beginning to process. Okay. Um, the next question, do we have to enter multi-factor authentication for each transaction?
Well, that's a great question. So yes, on the payment side, there is MFA. Now, and I might have to work with the Icon team on this. There is a way that you can do remember me for 30 days, where once you set it for 30 days, and Carrie, you might not know this, we could work with that on the back end to where they just have to enter in every 30 days. I think right now the way you all have it set up, which is the safer way, it's every time a new session comes in.
Session. Yep, that's what I was going to say. So it's
Yep.
not every transaction. So
Not
if
every
the
payment.
user is
Bingo.
logged in,
Yep.
like right now, I could go through and process several more transactions and I would not have to put in the multi-factor authentication. However,
Bingo.
if I log out of IconCMO and I log back in and try to process another one, I am going to get that multi-factor request because
Yeah.
logging out ends your session. And so we're starting a brand new session.
Exactly, and which is the proper way to do it. I can talk to the team. There's ways within our integrations that you could do a 30-day remember me, but for right now, it's every session. But again, you don't have to do it for every payment, right? So if you go in and pay 200 bills, you're just MFAing at the start.
And I know if you go into Bill,
Same thing.
their
Same thing.
platform, you can
Same thing.
choose the
Yeah,
30 day because I know I have.
right. Same idea. Same idea. So yeah.
Okay, next question says, so we don't have to export the payments from Bill and bring them back into Icon, correct? That depends. If you're going into Bill and you're creating the transaction for payment in Bill and you're not doing it in Icon, then you're going to have to go in and re-enter that transaction into Icon manually. However, the way we have the integration set up is so that you can do everything from Icon and then just push it out to Bill again for payment
Mhm.
or approval. So you shouldn't have to enter it in both places. You should only have to enter it in one. Um, Correcting errors found after the send is hit. For example, sent to wrong vendor or missing bill ID information. So you can still find those transactions in Icon, the ones that were sent to Bill.
Mhm.
So this one is check 483. If I go out and find, I got to be in the right bank account here. If I go out and find check 483, didn't I say 483? Let's try again. Oh, it's bank account X. Sorry, wrong bank account. One more time. There we go, check 483. So if I open that up, I can still delete it. Even though it's sent to Bill, I can delete it. Like keep in mind, this is only deleting it in Icon. If there's something you have to do on the bill end, you have to go out to Bill and do that separately. Okay. Does Bill.com mask account numbers or routing numbers when printing checks? Our bank uses Bill and they do that. Not sure if it is a Bill function.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, we're pulling those funds from your bank account and we're facilitating the checks on our custodial accounts. We have about 12, well, I don't know the exact numbers. I'm going to get in trouble with legal for saying certain numbers. We have a lot of custodial accounts because we do it at scale. Chase Bank is one of those. I think we've used some of the larger banks. So we pull the funds out of your bank account and then we print the checks on our checks. Now, and I'll send Carrie the link that shows what our checks look like. Your organization will be in the top left of the check. We'll print the check to the vendor, but your bank account is not on the check. So that's another thing. Like you don't have to worry about positive pay. You don't have to worry about nacho files anymore because we're facilitating those payments. So it's on our check stock. We pay the postage. We deliver it. We have 3 check printing facilities in the country, so we try to print it as close as we can to the vendor. Um, but no, your checking account is not exposed, right? Because we're pulling the funds and we're facilitating, which is why after 90 days that money goes back into your bank account, right? We don't want to hold it longer than 90 days.
Yeah, that's great. Um, Another person says, we currently use Bill through our bank as part of their services. What would be involved in moving to this new system? Will our history of payments be retained?
Okay. So we do white label with, this is a harder question, just to be transparent. We do white label with some of the big banks. So like Chase, I think it's called Chase 360. They have a Bill.com solution that they provide. We are working on API connections so that you could integrate your bank. We don't have that today. So today, if you wanted to use this integration, you would have to actually create a Bill.com account. And unfortunately, no, things don't transition. It's due to contracts that we have with the banks and things like that. We're working to make that a little bit easier, but as of today, the unfortunate news is you would have to kind of create a brand new Bill.com account and then connect it with Icon that way. I hope to have better news for you in 6 months to a year. So sorry, I can't be
We're
all
always working
positive.
to be better.
Yeah,
I can too. They know that.
yeah,
They've seen our changes. Okay, I've got somebody who says they're a current Bill.com user with QuickBooks. One of the features they like is electronic storage option. Is that not a
yeah,
feature with
yeah.
the way the integration is set up with Icon? I guess I don't know
No,
what that function is.
it's still there. Like when you sign up with Bill.com, you have all the things you would. So you absolutely can log into Bill.com, throw any documents you want in that inbox and store them. So you'll have that. You'll just also, in addition, have that integration with Icon. So when you're signing up for Bill, you're signing up as a real Bill.com user. So 100%.
Perfect. Um, any challenges with banking through a credit union versus
No,
a traditional bank?
no, no. Whoops, I don't know why my reaction. I didn't mean to sound
They heard you say no.
that. No, sorry. No, no issues. Now, some of those credit unions won't be on Plaid, like I was saying, and that's frustrating sometimes because it makes it a little bit harder to connect those bank accounts. But if it's a regular checking account, credit union is fine. Again, we'll send those micro deposits. It'll be like 2 micro deposits. Takes a day, and then you just go into Bill.com and verify those micro deposits.
Yeah, and again, if some of our users, if you're using our bank import function that we have here, same thing, it's through
Mhm.
Plaid. Some of those smaller banks just aren't set up to have that integration work. So if you search for them and they're in there, awesome. Same thing within Bill. If you're going to search through Plaid to find them, cool. Otherwise, at least Bill has the function where you can add them manually, which is really great. Um, When we get an invoice and add that to AP and Icon, can this invoice be sent to Bill via the link option? That is a really good question, and I think the answer is no, because we're only sending the payment to
Mhm.
Bill. We're not actually sending the invoice in and of itself. So if I was going to add an invoice for any particular vendor, there isn't. You can see there's no like send or link option. It's just posting into Icon. So the payment gets sent out to Bill, not the invoice itself. Okay. Um, Cost to Icon users for using Bill. I don't have that answer, Jay. I don't know if it varies,
Uh,
so hopefully you
the
can give
the
them
the
something.
the cost to use Bill.com. Well, and it's on our site. I don't have
Great.
there's a regular sub for Bill.com. Oh gosh, I should know this. It's just going to be the regular price to sign up for Bill.com,
If I
and
go out
that
to the page, is it
is,
out there?
yeah. Give me just a second. I have
Okay, I'll pass it to you. He'll pull it up. He's probably faster than me anyway.
it. Here we go. Plans and pricing.
All right.
So, for what you're doing, it would be, and I can share my screen here. There we go. So this is our pricing. You all wouldn't need accounts receivable, and you really just need the essentials here, right? So you would just need the essential accounts payable plan, which is $45 a month. If you're just using us for payments, right, and you're just using us for payments in Icon, you really only need one user, right? Now, there's additional charges for payments. ACH is 49 cents, check is $1.69. But just for one user, $45 a month is the essential side. You wouldn't need the corporate plan or the team plan. So hopefully that helps. Also, reach out to me. We have implementation consultants too that can help. Um, we work with Icon when they have referrals, and really, you can sign up and go. You also can sign up and take advantage of our implementation team to help you get turned on. So we'll work with you, and we'll work with Icon to have a rep that they can route to, so that we can make sure you're taken care of.
Perfect.
And I'm a technical person. They don't let me know pricing, so that was on the fly there. So
And vice versa. I am not a technical person, so the stuff on the back end, I don't know, but that's why you got the two of us, hoping we can
there
get
you
all the answers for you. Um, Someone else asked if or when to begin this process. Sign in bill first, or will Icon do it for us?
No. You'll need a Bill.com subscription, right? Quote unquote subscription. So if you're already an Icon person, you could just go out and sign up. We need to make that process easier for Icon clients. So I'll work with Carrie on that, so that we know, okay, hey, we have a new person that we can, give you sort of that white glove service there, so that you do know. But yeah, you would have to create a Bill.com account.
Yeah, and you can either, like I said, this button will say go to bill, um,
Yeah,
or you can go under the tools and services, partners and integration, find bill right there, and then there's a little more information link that'll take you out to their page. These are the request a demo. Um, but if you know that you're ready, you don't want the demo, you're ready to get set up with the account, there is a link. On this bill user guide that does have an email I think you could get started with. So there's
yeah,
free trial, there's a demo. Otherwise, I'm happy if you contact our team, we can send that information over to Jay and his team, and they
yeah.
can help you get set up that way too. So we're happy to help in whatever way that we can.
Uh, and Brad Powell, I think, is on the meeting as well. He'll be our contact too, and will really help. So we'll make sure you get directed to the right individuals.
Okay, we're going to grab one more question here. It's about approvals again. So if we have two sorry, I can't read. If we have two approvers, we will need at least 3 user licenses. Is that correct?
Well, if no, you'll need two. So if one of those users is an admin, now if the others aren't an admin, you're right. If you want to have that segregation of duties, yes, you'll need three. Like if you want to have an admin and then just two payment approvers, you'll need three. If one of those payment approvers is also an admin, you'll just need two. So that's a good question. And part of our payment approvers, um, you have the ability to say and or. So some people want that old school dual check signer. I want both people to sign off. So that's an and, Carrie and Jay, right? Um, the but you could also do an or where just one of them has to, right?
Perfect.
Hopefully that helps.
All right. And if there are further questions after the webinar, again, you are more than welcome to reach out to the Icon support team. Any questions we don't know, we, as you can see, have a relationship with the Bill team. So
Hmm.
we can reach out to them and find out the answers. Or if you want to contact them directly, they are also happy to give you the answers. They've been great to work with on my end. So I have no doubt that they will be great to work with on your end as well. Anything else you want to say in closing, Jay?
No, thank you so much. We really enjoy this partnership. You all have done a great job building that integration, and we want to support you as much as we can. So my email's on here. Brad Powell will be a contact, like I said. We'll make sure we're helping where we can, and reach out if you have any questions.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. I will be sending out this recording to all those who have registered, if not today, because my platform takes a little while for it to process. So if not today, it'll be early tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful week and weekend.
Bye.
Bye.